AskReddit. What is the best you effed with the wrong person moment you've seen? Was riding the bus home from school one day. Bunch of assholes messing around in the back throwing food and other junk. A quiet overweight kid sat in front of them, minding his own business when one of the assholes thought it would be funny to shove an old sandwich in his face and call him fat boy. Quiet kid stood up and knocked him out in a single hit, then grabbed his bag and walked up to the front of the bus and got off at his stop as if nothing happened. There was this guy who was part of our group in college. He was an ass, but he was one of the guy's brothers, so he hung out with us a lot. Whenever he would get drunk he would try to pick fights. We would just shake it off and ignore him. One of the guys hosted a pretty big NYE party. As it goes, this dude got drunk and tried to pick fights again. People were getting uncomfortable. There was one guy at the party who was about 6'4" and built like a tank who was just not having it. He waited to be confronted and then immediately carried the guy outside and threw him down on a stair and broke his leg. He stopped picking fights after that. 7th grade science. Bully, almost more of a bully's henchman, said something about a quiet kid's mother. Quiet kid's mom was dead. Quiet kid also apparently studied boxing. Who knew? What did you say about my mom? Wham. What did you say about my mom? Wham. Bully henchman was so shocked he did nothing and took the 2 straight punches to his face. I don't think he got in trouble. Happened before the teacher came in. There was this guy who played drums all the time in Hawaii on the city strip. Nice guy, never chatted much except for a wave and to throw him a few dollars. Some drunk tourist decided it would be fun to mess with his drums. Guy gave him so many chances to walk away. Drunk tourist winds up for a punch and the dude just knocked him out in one punch. I just stood there and my buddy had the presence of mind to tell the guy to pack his shit and leave before the cops come. Guy was pretty fucked up and we helped him till the ambulance came. I'm pretty sure with the way that his jaw looked it wouldn't be a short recovery. Me drunk AF on a party bus for my cousin's 21st. Being a complete ass because I was letting my brother who had issues with someone get me worked up on his drama. Got in a huge brawl outside of one of the stops and decided to take a shot at one of the guys I didn't like. Hit him with everything I had. I mean everything. I literally broke my fucking hand on his face. He got up, looked at me, and calmly said you just fucked up. He was right. This is low key, but I enjoyed it. My first week at a white collar job, my first such job, and we were in the middle of a department wide meeting. About 17 coworkers and supervisors all together. The person leading the meeting asks a question of no one in particular, and several of us answer. My answer differed from the rest. One guy turns to me and says, let's leave these questions to the people who actually have master's degree, shall we? I looked at him and said, I have a master's degree. The room went silent, except for one guy who loudly hooted. I had given the correct answer to top it off. My high school boyfriend and my older brother. My freshman year of high school I met Scotty. He was a little on the weird side, a scene kid, but he was nice enough. Until the day he decided to hit me. I said something he didn't agree with and in retaliation he slapped the bejesus out of me. If there was an award for best bitch slap then Scotty won it. My head snapped back, saliva flew from my mouth, tears formed in my eyes. We had been in the car, sitting in traffic behind some accident or other. He kicked me out of the car and made me walk home. I sat down on the side of the road and called my brother because I wasn't ready to deal with my mother's reaction. My brother showed up in his Jeep, held up traffic on a Friday afternoon to make sure I was okay. He had even stopped at the store and bought me a bag of frozen peas for me cheek. We drove on. The car was deadly silent. My brother was steely faced, white knuckle gripping the wheel, pure white anger in his eyes. We drove past our road and kept going. He pulled into Scotty's yard and stormed up to the door. I stayed in the car. Scotty came out, 5'7" to my brother 6'3". My brother grabbed him by the shirt and lifted him a good foot off the ground. I didn't hear what was said. All I know is my brother never had to hit the kid. Whatever he said to him made Scotty go pale and shaky. Brother laid him down on the front porch, came back down, got in the Jeep, and wrecked that boy's front yard. Tore it the hell up. Scott's dad was one of those guys who won awards for his yard. Scotty had to explain to his dad why his yard was messed up. His parents called and apologized for their son's behavior. We never heard another word from Scotty. Dickhead bully screwed with a younger kid in high school who was super nice and a really good friend of mine. I didn't like it, so I got in the bully's face and told him I'd kick his ass. Well, we went at it, and I absolutely got the shit kicked out of me. Fucking you judo or something. Yeah, I fucked with the wrong person. I'd do it again though. We had a vendor who showed up once a week and was a bit of a hand masher. Liked to crush your knuckles while shaking your hand. The boss had just hired a doughy looking, middle-aged guy for the sales department. I told him to be wary shaking the vendor's hand. A few days later the vendor shows up, puts his hand out to the new guy with a big smile, and goes in for the kill. At first everyone is smiling. The new guy is looking him in the eye while pumping his hand furiously, then stops. The smile melts off the vendor's face. He had a pained look on his face as his lips pursed together. The vendor yelped a long "ee-ah" and dropped the new guy's hand like it was lava. Pulled the new guy aside and asked how he did that. 10 years I drove a tow truck. Must have changed thousands of flat tires with just hand tools. Nobody crushes my hand. Yuppie frat boy in an econ course I was taking my freshman year got caught cheating. At my university, we all sign a contract agreeing to their honor code policies, and cheating is an automatic expulsion. But the professor decided to be nice and was just going to give the kid a 0 on the exam. Frat kid doesn't think that's enough, and it turns into an argument. Kid starts saying how in his family is at the university and how none of this matters because he'll just pull some strings. Long story short, our professor is actually close friends with the chancellor of our school. Not only did the kid get expelled from the school, but they somehow got him into legal trouble as well for some of the comments made in class that day. I don't know what was said that could have been used against him, but the kid ended up in some deep shit. My mom told me this story about my dad about when they were young/newly married. I don't think an adult could necessarily get away with this in American helicopter parent culture these days, but this happened in the late 70s. My dad was a restaurant manager and had to fire a high school kid. He lived in the same neighborhood as my parents and would often see my dad when he and his friends were driving to school. They would flip my dad off and yell things at him. One day my dad got sick of it all and drove to their school, found them trying to park, used his car to block them, got out and went up to the kid's car window and told him, "If you ever flip me off again I'm going to rip that finger off and shove it up your ass." The kid stopped flipping him off. Most of this I learned secondhand as it occurred. When I was younger me dad bought some oil field royalties, percentage ownerships of what is produced, that gave a check each month for a few $100. Well, as time goes by the checks begin to dwindle and then stop. At this point he began to look into the company that operated the oil field and received a significantly less than satisfactory answer. At this point they really should have just given him the checks each month. Because at his point he proceeded to look into the company and peel back a metric shit ton of fraud and other deceptions. Over the course of a 7-year litigation case my dad figured out exactly how they were committing fraud, and after working with a few lawyer friends hit them with the bitch slap of God in court, which removed their operator's license for oil wells and promptly thereafter they went out of business. He ruined a $50 million company because they tried to screw him out of a few $100s a month. This happened to me my senior year of high school. My twin sister had just gotten dumped by her asshole gross boyfriend. I never liked him. He made her life miserable and was spreading rumors about her. She didn't want to have sex with him, so he dumped her. I was minding my own business walking through the packed cafeteria when he says, "There goes her slut of a sister." Loud enough for those at nearby tables to hear. At this point, I had had enough of his bullshit towards my sister, and now he was dragging my name into the mud. "What did you call me?" I said. A literal hush falls over the cafeteria. The football team on the other side of the table stands up, ready to fight. I worked with one of them at Pizza Hut, so I knew they'd have my back. He says, "You heard me, slut." This part happens in slow motion in my memory. "That's what I thought you said." And I hit him with all the force I had across his greasy face. I left a handprint from his ear to his nose. The whole cafeteria gasps. He looks surprised at first, then embarrassed, then fuming mad. He looks for the nearest teacher. There's no way they didn't see/hear what happened. Aren't you going to do anything? He yelled across the room at them. Nope, they said in unison. Unless you want to go to the office with her for sexual harassment. Gotta love the female gym teacher. He never spoke a word about me or my sister again. I became a minor school celebrity for a while. The football team came over to check on me and offered to finish the job. It was a good day.